reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's up, everybody? A very happy Friday in Las Vegas. Hope everyone's doing good out there. I know I am. Good to be back with you all in one of the fastest growing shows across the country. And we have you to thank for that on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, my personal YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. All right, I got to start off by saying this, ladies and gentlemen. So we had former pastor turned OnlyFans model Nicole Mitchell in studio yesterday, and she played Pam Bondi for 15 minutes, and she was so good at it. Like, half the people on my social media are like, oh, my God, I can't believe Pam Bondi said that. I guess to a testament to her, she did a great Pam Bondi. But there are some people out there that are upset. Oh, Brian, you duped us. It's just like when I have a Donald Trump impersonator on. We talk about a lot of serious issues on this show, and most of the time, very serious interviews. And I get into it with people, and sometimes it gets heated here. But we also have a little bit of fun on the show, too, because life is short. And while I will talk about serious issues, and while every day I want to talk about serious issues, we also do a little satire humor. And my response to some of the people out there is, if you don't like a little satire humor and an impersonator once in a while, then this isn't the right show for you. Then go watch a show or go watch NPR or go watch, anything. I don't know. But we actually sometimes show a sense of humor. And Nicole did a great job, and I thought it was very funny in exposing what an idiot Pam Bondi is. And Nicole did a really good job, and a lot of people thought it was really her. And I can understand why. So I'm not coming on this show trying to dupe people. I'm coming on this show trying to inform, educate, and entertain. That's what I try to do here. Life is short. We smile once in a while. And if you have a problem with somebody impersonating Pam Bondi, chances are you're probably going to have a problem with my Donald Trump impersonators that do this show sometimes. And I can tell you, go fly a kite, because I don't care. I'm not changing what I do here. Most of the people that I spoke with thought it was very, very funny. I'm one of them. Nicole did a great job. So the fallout over the last couple days, with a lot of the things that Donald Trump has said, a lot of the things that Donald Trump has done, his executive orders, just the first few days of his presidency, gas prices are up, the price of eggs are up. He's not really helping you. He's only having these executive orders and helping people that assaulted police officers on January 6th. The problem, and there are many of them, within the Republican Party today is many of them are cowards. One of those cowards that I think is dumb as a doornail is Tim Burchett, Republican out of Tennessee. He got into it with Jim Acosta in regards to Donald Trump pardoning those serious violent criminals. There were at least 600 of them. He pardoned over 1,500, but there were at least 600 of them that were accused of or convicted of violent crimes like beating police officers, spraying them with bear spray, seditious conspiracy. So Jim Acosta, who I do have a lot of respect for, I think he's a very good journalist, had Tim Burchett on his show. Now, I've always said Tim Burchett is a very, very ignorant, stupid person. And this will prove that. So this is Jim Acosta asking Tim Burchett, do you approve of these pardons? Listen to this.
You're a congressman. You're a member of Congress. You're an elected official. Take a stand.
They were not given due process. I told you if they crossed the line, they were trespassers. Should they rot in jail for the rest of their lives in a federal penitentiary?
Not trespassing, beating police officer, tasing police officers, seditious conspiracy.
What you're forgetting to say is the ones that he didn't release. Why did he not release those? There are several that he did. This blanket thing you're all talking about is not a blanket. It's not a blanket pardon. There were several that he didn't for those very same reasons. Why are you not focusing on them?
Congressman, we're talking about the leader of the Oath Keepers, the leader of the Proud Boys. They should be released from prison?
What about the leader of the FBI? What about the FBI agents that were on the grounds, that were in that mess?
Congressman, the leader of the FBI was not rioting at the Capitol that day and beating up police officers. What happened to backing police officers? Your party has said time and again, we back the blue.
What about all those police officers? What about that? What about his life is like a box of chocolates? I'm sorry, am I wrong? But does Tim Burchett not sound like Forrest Gump?
Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Tell me Tim Burchett doesn't sound like Forrest Gump. All due respect to Forrest Gump, by the way. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and Tom Hanks is great. Tim Burchett sounds like an imbecile. What about all those police officers? What about all those Capitol police officers that allowed those insurrectionists in the building? What about them? They're back in there. What about them? What about Joe Biden? What about those pedophiles? What about George Soros? What about poor Jim Acosta? Trust me.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, there you go.
You never know what you're going to get.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Republican Tim Burchett. So poor Jim Acosta had to, again, try to ask Burchett if he would answer the question. I have to deal with this with the MAGA people who call into the show every day. Here's Jim Acosta again, trying to get Tim Burchett to answer the question.
What are you
all
talking
you've
about
done
what
is
we're doing at CNN? We didn't storm
every
the
day.
Capitol. These people did. And President Trump let them out of jail. Why not just say, you were wrong, Mr. President? Say it. Why can't you say it?
Jim, as I said, individually, I don't know the case. We had riots where towns were burning down, and they were allowed to do it. They were allowed to do it, and you all did not. Oh, you covered it, Jim. Come on, Jim.
All day
You gave it the
long.
bare modicum of coverage, and then you went on to trashing
I was at
Trump
the
or
White
some
House.
conservative cause.
I was at the White House covering the first Trump administration when they had rioting outside of the White House. I mean, that was covered on CNN. What you're saying, this is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tale and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
Oh.
You never know what you're going to get.
Yes, that's right, Forrest. Also known as Tim Burchett. Individually, I don't know the cases. But Mr. Burchett, we're playing you the video as you speak. They beat police officers. I don't know the case. I'm sorry. I don't know it individually. Mr. Burchett, you were there that day. You saw them assault people that day. You've seen the video. I don't know the cases individually. Sounds like Pam Bondi. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that. All of a sudden, they're not familiar with it, but they want to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop, these idiots. Oh, and it goes on because the Republican Party wants to say they back the blue, right? They back the blue. They back police officers, right? The party of back the blue. Well, whatever happened to that, Jim Acosta says?
Went to jail, and then the president let them out of jail. And all I'm asking you is for you to say that if you feel it's wrong, say it's wrong.
That's the key. They did go to jail. And under these Soros-backed DAs all across the country, these people are walking for much more heinous crimes than this.
What? I'm going to blame George Soros, who had nothing to do with January 6th or these pardons, but it's all George Soros' fault because life is like a box of chocolates. I mean, it's just, ladies and gentlemen, it's sad that there are Republicans in office today, and they know that this is wrong. They know, but yet they can't stand up to their orange orangutan leader and say, you shouldn't have done this. Listen, if you wanted to pardon all the people that weren't convicted of violent crimes, even though I wouldn't necessarily agree with it, I probably wouldn't be talking about it, right? We're talking about those who specifically beat police officers. And what they do is they want to talk about BLM. They want to talk about Joe Biden's pardons, which, by the way, I have criticized the last several days. I have. But Tim Burchett doesn't want to answer the direct question. So Jim Acosta brilliantly puts this Republican moron in a corner and says what I think is a very fair question, which is, what if one of these violent criminals that Donald Trump pardoned commits another violent crime in the future?
In the 2020 election and now relitigating the violent insurrection on January 6th is because Donald Trump's fragile little ego can't handle.
That's the wrong cut. That's okay. We'll get to it. It's 629 to 706. So in that cut, what is bizarre to me,
the reality that
what is bizarre to me is that, and the reality of the situation is, if in fact these people commit crimes in the future, who Donald Trump had pardoned, part of that responsibility has to be on Donald Trump. Period. Period. And in that cut, that is what is asked to Tim Burchett, also known as Forrest Gump. I can guarantee you that a portion of these white supremacist terrorists, also MAGA supporters, a portion of them will be committing more crimes in the future. And the fact that the leader of the Oath Keepers and some of these insurrectionists were getting tours of the White House and they're being brought back to the House chambers where they committed some of these heinous crimes is exactly where the Republican Party is at right now in 2025. Period. So what cut do we have now? Okay. So the cut that I wanted to play for you, this is where Jim Acosta is asking Tim Burchett. No, that's the wrong cut. So here's the bottom line, right? The bottom line here is that these people who committed these violent crimes will probably commit more crimes in the future. And that's where we sit at today. And while all this was going on, I have to play you a little bit of the orange orangutan Donald Trump. Because he's asked about the war in the Ukraine, which, by the way, he said would be over within 24 hours, right? He said it would be over within 24 hours. Why does Donald Trump want innocent people to die? Why? If he said it could be over in 24 hours and all he would have to do is pick up the phone, why does he want innocent people to die? All Donald Trump has done is put out a Truth Social tweet threatening Vladimir Putin with tariffs. Boy, that seemed to really work out. Everyone's like, oh, look at what Donald Trump has done. He's putting pressure on Russia by putting out a tweet on the crapper. Like, I don't understand these people. So this is Donald Trump saying he's had enough of this war in the Ukraine that he said he could end within 24 hours. Have a listen to this.
People, they're great people. I don't want to do that, but we got to get this war ended. And if they don't make a settlement like fast, and Zelensky, I will say this, he wants to settle now. He's had enough. He shouldn't have allowed this to happen either. No. You know, if he's no angel, right. He shouldn't have allowed this war to happen. First of all, he's fighting a much bigger entity, okay? Much bigger. When he was, you know, talking so brave and so. Now, two things happened. They were brave, but we gave them billions of dollars. The United States spent $200 billion more than Europe. Why did we spend more? You know why? Because Biden never asked Europe to spend more.
Yeah, there you go. So blame Zelensky for the war. Blame Joe Biden for the war. Put the least amount of blame on the man who's responsible for invading a country in Vladimir Putin. Send the guy test kits during COVID, coddle him, take his word over our own FBI and CIA. That's who Donald Trump is. And what did Donald Trump do? MAGA are bragging, saying, oh, look at that. He's putting all the pressure on Vladimir Putin. Why? Because he put out a few sentences in a Truth Social tweet? He hasn't spoken to Vladimir Putin in the last several days since becoming president that I am aware of. He hasn't spoken to the Kremlin. And those working for Vladimir Putin have laughed at this. And they said they are going to end the war on their terms, not Donald Trump's terms. Now, I wish the war would end, but Donald Trump campaigned on, I'm going to end the war within 24 hours. He said it on the record multiple times. Please explain to me why he's allowing innocent people to die then. Why, Mr. President? Thought you said you could get the war to end in 24 hours. Oh, is it another false promise? Interesting. And listen, this is what Donald Trump does on a regular basis. He kisses up and admires evil, murderous dictators. Kim Jong-un, another example of this. Listen, Sean Hannity's a complete doofus, but he did ask him a few good questions. And the question was asked, will you reach out to Kim Jong-un, who Trump once again admires and says positive things about him?
Along with him. He's not a religious zealot.
Will you reach
he
out
happens
to him?
to be a smart guy. Kim Jong-un is a smart guy.
You'll reach out to him again.
I will. Yeah,
All right, my
he
last
lied to me,
question.
and I got
Your
along
staff is going to kill me, and I don't want to
My
get. I have
staff
friends
is
here.
fine. I'm not Obama.
Yeah, you're definitely not. We agree, Mr. President. You are not Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a respected, highly intelligent, a man of honor, a good father, and I would also say a good husband, even though there are some MAGA morons out there that are spreading fake, false rumors that somehow Barack Obama is in a relationship with Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston appeared on Jimmy Kimmel, laughed at it, said it's not true at all. And the only reason why there's two reasons why the MAGA morons are doing this. Reason number one is because the first couple days of Donald Trump's presidency has been an absolute disaster, whether it be pardoning people that attacked police officers, not able to end the war in the Ukraine as he said he would within 24 hours, inflation going up, gas prices going up, a crypto scam where he made over $6 billion. It's been a disaster. Getting rid of the security clearances of Mike Pompeo and John Bolton. Say what you want about Mike Pompeo and John Bolton. This is absurd. And the other reason why they're doing this is because Michelle Obama didn't show up to the inauguration. By the way, I applaud her. I don't think Obama should have been there either. Don't give Donald Trump any respect because he hasn't earned it. None of the Democrats should have been there that day. That's the only reason why these MAGA morons are spreading these fake rumors about Barack Obama. And isn't it interesting because they're making unproven allegations that Barack Obama has cheated on Michelle. Meanwhile, Donald Trump openly had sex with a porn star 2 weeks after Melania had Barron. Trump has been dishonest and a cheater, a lifelong cheater to every woman that has ever been in his life. He's got 5 kids with 3 different women and his own ex-wife accusing him of rape in court documents. He's never been faithful to one woman. And by the way, yes, that's right. Jeffrey Epstein called him his best friend. So don't tell me Donald Trump's never been on Epstein Island. That's a lie. If she wasn't my daughter, I would date her. The guy who goes into women's locker rooms, teenage girl locker rooms, to look at them naked without permission. But yeah, let's spread a rumor that Barack Obama's cheating on Michelle Obama with Jennifer Aniston. Give me a frickin' break. These are some of the dumbest people America has to offer. It's absurd. I'm not making this up. The first couple days of Donald Trump's administration, how's it gone? Now, if you're a bigot and you're an idiot and you watch Newsmax all day, which many of you are, you're going to think this was a great success the first couple days of his administration. Really? A lot of people in this country, like 2/3 of people in this country have comorbidities. They rely on getting those prescription drugs. Joe Biden put orders in effect and passed bills to allow Medicaid to work with the pharmaceuticals to lower the price of those drugs. What did Donald Trump do? He signed an executive order abolishing it, which means your prescription drugs are now going to go up. Joe Biden is the guy that capped insulin at $35. That's going to end. If you don't believe me, look it up yourself. You think these executive orders are helping regular, everyday people? They're not. He's making it worse for you. Your prescription drugs are going to be more expensive. You're going to be paying more in taxes. You're certainly not going to be getting tax breaks unless you're a billionaire, particularly a tech billionaire. And if the people around Donald Trump's administration aren't doing the Hail Hitler sign, they're getting into squabbles amongst one another. Vivek Ramaswamy isn't even around anymore. He's gone. And President Musk is the one that's calling the shots. Boy, isn't that great for the country? You want someone that is the richest person in the world calling the shots in the White House, who never even has passed an FBI clearance before. And this is what you voted for, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. He's taking away your benefits. Your cost of prescription drugs are going up almost immediately because of Donald Trump. He has not closed the border. Inflation has not gone down, and it's not going to go down. Your 401ks are not going to go up. You're not going to be making more at your job, and again, unless you're a billionaire, a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. But some of you are so stupid that you don't understand this. Some of you are starting to understand only a few days into his administration. Most of you are not, because you're imbeciles. So, one of those imbeciles called into this show. I do have some from time to time. I shouldn't say that. But I'm a fan of a few shows here and there. I grew up with the Howard Stern Show. And one of my favorite commentators when it comes to politics is a guy by the name of David Pakman. David Pakman is a progressive internet talk show host. He used to do radio. Now he's only on the internet, and he's arguably the biggest podcast, one of the biggest podcasts on the planet. Certainly from the progressive left. There's no question about that. So I had a few listeners hit me up yesterday, and they said, hey, I was watching the David Pakman show, and he started talking about you. I said, good, I hope it was positive, and it was. But it was in regards to somebody who called into this show and brought up David Pakman's name, and then David Pakman found it and decided to do a segment about it. Before we take phone calls, I want to play it for you because it is pretty cool, because I am a David Pakman fan, and I think his commentary is great. Have a listen to this.
The normalization and the sane washing. It's very ugly stuff. All right, this is very interesting. A MAGA caller called a Vegas radio show and brutally attacked me, but then it was brilliantly turned right around on him and his dear orange leader, Donald Trump. This is super interesting. Let's take a look at it. So this is not a show I was familiar with until today. My understanding is that this is Brian Shapiro on Las Vegas radio station KSHP.
Correct.
And he received a caller who was a MAGA guy and basically blamed me and Luke Beasley, I guess, for like Kamala Harris losing or something like that. Let's listen to it together. But Brian does a very good job of really exposing the vapid nature of this guy's attack. Check it out.
Hey, Brian. I just wanted to comment before one of your callers, just a couple of callers ago, he mentioned Luke Beasley and David Pakman and everything. Mm-hmm. And look, I mean, I'm a conservative, so my point is like, I'm glad that the Democrats lost the election, but I also was able to see so many reasons, so many things that they did wrong as to why they lost. And I'm not saying that in terms of like my own personal bias. What I mean is like these people like David Pakman, Luke Beasley, and a lot of these Democrat, TikTok commentators and have their YouTube channels, they've earned this reputation of constantly talking down to people and acting like David Pakman is known to just be this very elitist person.
Okay. I love that. I'm known for that. That's the thing I'm known for.
Hold on, David. I want to get. I promise I'll give you a chance to finish.
Yeah.
You don't like people that talk down to people. You don't like David Pakman. By the way, I don't think David Pakman talks down to people. I think he's actually very respectful. Who do you think talks down to more people, David Pakman or Donald J. Trump?
I agree that Trump talks down to people.
No, that wasn't my question. No, but hold on, that wasn't my question. Who do you think talks down to people more, Luke Beasley and David Pakman or Donald J. Trump, who, by the way, is the president of the United States?
Talks down more.
Okay, so don't you think that's more? Don't you think that's more concerning? Someone who is the leader of the free world instead of a media personality? Wouldn't that bother you more? Why did you vote for Donald Trump then?
Well, here's why. Because these Democrats, again, they constantly gave off this attitude of they're better than everybody. And here's the thing. Trump gives off that attitude too. He's a billionaire.
Which Democrat? Okay, so give me a quote or an example of a Democrat in office that made a statement that would lead you to. I didn't say Democrat in office. I'm saying Democrat commentators like that kid Harry Sisson, all these kids on TikTok. So you care more about you care more about what a 20-year-old says on TikTok than the leader of the free world who you voted for.
What is Brian getting at here? Different standards for different people.
Correct.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Let me explain. And I don't say this. I'm not saying this to sound rude or anything. But if you and other people who are Democrats can't figure out why this is a problem for Democrats, get ready to lose the next election because people are tired of being talked to like they're a 5-year-old.
Gotcha.
David Pakman, he constantly does this. And
so you think David Pakman, by the way, I disagree with you. I don't think David Pakman's disrespectful to people.
That's why the Democrats lost, because they can't even see this right in front of their face.
So the reason why Democrats lost is because they're, quote, disrespectful to people.
One of many reasons.
But yet the leader of the free world, the guy who you voted for, has attacked POWs and Gold Star families and women on looks. He said, if you're Jewish and you didn't vote for me, you need to get your head examined. You're totally willing to put that off to the side, but yet Donald Trump won, the insulter in chief, but you're blaming David Pakman.
Yeah, me on my YouTube channel. I don't even know what the guy's referring to. I had more of an impact based on my condescension, I guess, than the things Trump has said with global on the global stage.
And some media personalities, and you don't think the right doesn't do this? Forget about Donald Trump, all joking aside. Let's forget about Trump. The Sean Hannitys of the world, the Laura Ingrams of the world, the Mark Levins of the world. Rush Limbaugh did it for years on the radio.
Yeah. So listen, this is like an 11-minute thing, and I encourage you to check it all out. But what I think Brian Shapiro is getting to here is this is a politics of exclusion and othering people that MAGA has been and has become. And on the other hand, what I advocate for and what we've been talking about here is a politics of inclusion. Oh, you changed your mind about Trump? Great. Come on in. You're welcome here. The Republicans against Trump who figured it out, or whoever else. Really nice job by Brian Shapiro there. Not a guy I was familiar with until today. And, you know, the caller sort of suffering from like a main character syndrome, but not about himself, I guess about Luke Beasley and about me. Something about us is really triggering to the caller, and Brian Shapiro disarming it. But expect a lot of this over the next few years. If you value what we do.
There you go. So that was really cool to have David Pacman, catch a little bit of the show and play it on his show. I think David's great. So I really appreciate his commentary. And now I want to open up the phone lines to you. So we've been talking about a lot of different things here over the course of the last 20 minutes or so. To kind of go back to where I started from here, Tim Burchett, also known as Forrest Gump, making excuse after excuse, and every single time Jim Acosta asked him, are you okay with pardoning these January 6ers who some of them violently assaulted police officers? Are you okay with these pardons? And he brings up Joe Biden, and he brings up George Soros, and he brings up Black Lives Matter protesters. So, again, deflecting. So we're talking a little bit about that. We're also talking about Donald Trump's comments when it comes to the war in the Ukraine. He, again, blaming Zelensky. And then he puts out a Truth Social tweet, and all of a sudden that's everything that MAGA wants, saying, oh, look at what he did. He put out a tweet. Now, Donald Trump hasn't done anything, and the war in the Ukraine is still going on, and the Kremlin are laughing at Donald Trump. He's praising Kim Jong-un. And he just made $6 billion off of a crypto scandal, him and his contractual, despicable wife, Melania Trump. So that's what we're talking about right now. The number is 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's start off with John. John is first up on PTL. Hello, John.
Brian, what's up?
Who's this?
This is John. You know who it is.
Okay. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Don't want to talk to him. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. He's banned from the show. Let's go to Al. Al is next up on PTL. What's up, Al?
Hey, Brian. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Al.
Okay. All right, listen, so let's get in a good discussion here. You're talking about Trump releasing some of these guys that are criminals. Biden just released a guy, Leonard Pettier, who killed 2 FBI agents, and Clinton and Barack Obama did not want to release him. They were asked, and he has been in jail for almost 50 years. What do you think of that?
You don't want to talk about the president of the United States now. You want to talk about past and do whataboutism, but I'll still do it with you. That's fine, even though you won't address.
What do you mean
happened.
What about it? The guy got released. What are you talking about? What about it?
Okay, so a guy got released after spending, and tell me what he did, and tell me your issue with Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden's no longer the president, and you want to play whataboutism because the topic today was talking about.
He released them. You're complaining about Trump releasing people that are criminals. Okay.
No. I need you to listen.
This guy killed 2 FBI agents.
I am talking specifically not about criminals that are being pardoned. I'm specifically talking about violent criminals. And as I've said before, and I say again, because you always like to make excuses for your orange orangutan leader that you voted for. And as I've said before, and I say again, I disagree with pardons. I've disagreed with Joe Biden's pardons. I don't like pardons. I've made a blatant statement, and I've talked about that. However, here's what I'm not going to do. Not going to talk about the prior president because I've already told you that I don't like his pardons. What I'm concerned about is the president who is in office today, the man who you voted for.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Get serious.
Come
buddy.
on now. Get
You're
serious.
Over your own out there.
Pot him down again. I'm going to speak to you again, Al, so even somebody like you can understand, and I'm going to speak very slowly for you, and then we will get to the topics at hand. I will repeat myself because you have trouble listening because you have a lot of MAGA wax in your ears. That's okay. No problem, Al. I'll explain it to you. I've said I disagree with Joe Biden's pardons. I've criticized him on the show, particularly this week. I've done segments on it. And I don't like pardons in general. And I think it's too much power for any president to have. What I'm concerned about now, and what we are talking about today, are the pardons from a few days ago, where Donald Trump decided to pardon violent criminals who attacked police officers on January 6th. I've now answered your question twice, and I told you I don't agree with it. What are your thoughts on the president that you voted for, the guy who's in office right now, who just let out the leader of the Oath Keepers, the leader of the Proud Boys? What are your thoughts on that? Since we're talking,
my thought is there's hypocrisy on both sides. My thought is that Biden is even worse.
You can't even say you disagree with him and Donald Trump made a mistake. Why won't you say Donald Trump made a mistake and he should not have released those violent criminals from January 6th? Why won't you admit that, and why can't you say that, and why does it always have to be about Joe Biden? Why can't you answer the question?
Because I'm talking, there's a hypocrisy on both sides.
There's hypocrisy on both sides. I just told you I also disagree with Joe Biden's pardons. We are past that now, and I'm not going to play those games with you. Why won't you say that Donald Trump made a grave mistake in releasing violent insurrectionists from January 6th? Why won't you admit that Donald Trump made a mistake, Al?
Because I have to go look at the case. I don't think he made a mistake.
I have to go look at the case. You know, this is just a typical MAGA. I have to go look at the case. Al, yesterday on the show, I named multiple people specifically what they did to police officers, beating them with their own batons, spraying them with bear spray, beating them with their own shields. There's video of it. I specifically talked about every case individually. But you play dumb or you are dumb. It's one or the other. And you say, I have to go look at the case, but yet you call into the show today saying, what about Joe Biden? What about these people? I've already talked about Joe Biden's pardons, and I've already told you I disagree with them. Yet today on the show, you play stupid, or maybe you are. You can tell me, I don't know. And you say, I'm going to have to go look at the case. Why won't you say he made a mistake, Al? Why won't you say releasing the leader of the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys was a mistake and it's horrible and it's wrong? Why won't you admit he made a mistake? You're not capable of admitting Donald Trump making a mistake ever, are you? Are you, Al?
Test. Can I say something now? What can I talk?
I would like you to answer.
Okay. First of all, I don't think he made a mistake.
Okay. Al, that's it. That's it. If you don't think it's a mistake to release those who beat police officers on January 6th, that I'd be willing to bet your mother thinks it's a mistake that she ever had you. Thank you for the call. You're a mistake, Al. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. What's up, Jason?
I'm going to tell you something, Brian. If you would have watched CNN last night, Abby Phillips, first of all, Abby Phillips, I had a lot of respect for her until I started watching her show. She is such a pushover. She lets everybody spew garbage. But if you watched last night with the lawyer that's from New York, bald guy, I forgot his name, he was making so many excuses for Donald Trump letting out prisoners. It was sad. And I just don't understand how these people that so-called law and order, back the blue, are all of a sudden forgetting that the Capitol Police are the blue. It's sad. It makes me very angry that I heard my whole life Republicans respect law and order. Republicans should respect law and order. They don't even respect the Constitution.
Can I just say, Jason?
That's all I have to say.
Jason, first of all, I agree with what you said about Abby Phillips. I can't watch her show anymore because you're right. And by the way, I was having conversations with people, one person who still works for CNN and one person who used to work for CNN, and we all agree. Abby Phillips, I'm sure she's a very nice lady. She's not very good at her job. And there are others at CNN that do shows that are also not good. It's very difficult to watch her. And you're right, these Republicans, they just push over with these Democrats with lies, with their talking points. And I don't understand it. And no, the Republican Party is not the party of law and order because the leader of their party is a 34-count felon. So it's a joke. And you could never say back the blue ever again when these are the same people that talk about Black Lives Matter protests. And many people who committed violent crimes during Black Lives Matter protests were prosecuted for that. And I don't recall Joe Biden ever pardoning them. But then when it comes to January 6th.
Brian,
yeah.
You're forgetting one thing, though. You're forgetting one huge thing. They invited the dude back to the Capitol. Who did that? And then Antonio just said he's going after cops.
Right.
He said, I'm coming after you. So I don't want to hear no Republicans ever in their whole life existence.
I agree.
Back to blow. When you got somebody saying they're going to kill cops.
I agree.
Nobody's saying nothing.
You're not going to hear an argument from me, Jason. I agree with everything you just said. I'm with you 150%. They don't back the blue. They back white supremacy. Let's call it for what it is. Tucker Carlson, the idea of white supremacy doesn't exist. And I think it was AOC who made some statements in the chambers yesterday. And she said, was it a migrant that shot up a bunch of people in that Buffalo supermarket? No. Was it a migrant in Texas, El Paso, that killed a bunch of brown people? No. Was it a migrant that went into that church with a bunch of innocent black people that were praying and killed a bunch of innocent black people? No. Was it a migrant in Las Vegas who killed 61 innocent people? No. Were those migrants that committed those crimes on January 6th? I'm not saying that undocumented immigrants never commit crimes in this country. Sadly, sometimes they do. But the biggest crimes in the history of this country, mass shootings, the biggest crimes, the most casualties, were not from illegals. Many of them were from white supremacists. And in this case, when it comes to January 6th, Trump supporters, staunch Trump supporters. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. Hey, Terry, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, good afternoon. Explain to me why it is that these MAGA Republicans, they can remember 9/11, they can remember we had a civil war, they can remember Pearl Harbor, but yet they don't want to remember January 6th. They just want to make it sound like it never happened. Let's just let it go away. This insurrection was caused by domestic terrorists.
I agree. That's exactly what this was. And by the way, why were they all there? Why were they there? They were there because they wanted to overturn a free and fair election, the chance of hang Mike Pence, right? Can you imagine if you're a family member of one of those officers that maybe had brain damage, the family of Brian Sitnick, the family of those officers that committed suicide, one, I think, less than a week after. Can you imagine if you're one of those family members, how you feel about the fact that Donald Trump has released almost all of these prisoners, so many of them violent criminals? What do you think that those families are going through right now?
I can't even imagine. It's unbelievable.
It is. It's unfathomable, but this is where we are at as a country. Now, listen, again, a lot of my MAGA friends who call into this show, I've said this over and over again. I don't like pardons, period. I don't like some of Joe Biden's pardons, but make no mistake about it, to try to compare the two here and conflate the two is a horrible analogy, okay? It's like trying to compare a loving marriage and relationship between Joe Biden and Jill Biden to Donald Trump and Melania Trump. I mean, it's like that's what they're trying to do. It's ridiculous. There is no comparison. I don't agree with Joe Biden's pardons, but this is despicable, what Donald Trump has done. One of the first things he did was release violent criminals, some of whom beat police officers on January 6th. J.D. Vance didn't agree with it. J.D. Vance said days before, he said, quote, obviously, we're not going to pardon the violent criminals. That's a quote. That's what he said on national television. Obviously, J.D. Vance's opinion doesn't matter. Obviously, J.D. Vance wasn't told. And there were many other Republicans the last couple of weeks who said they didn't agree with pardoning violent criminals on January 6th. But now, all of a sudden, they walk back their statements because they're afraid of orange orangutan. It really is pathetic. Thank you for the call, my dear. So have a good weekend. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Andy. Andy is next up on PTL. What's up, Andy?
Hey, Brian. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to say just a couple quick things. One is this whole peace through strength that Trump is always talking about and the Republicans are talking about. It's just they just want to be the bullies. You know, it's so easy to avoid conflict. Let's pick on Mexico or, you know, Canada. You know, it's a lot easier to talk big and bad when you're siding with Putin. And then one other thing is that MAGA's destroyed this country. We have zero credibility with the rest of the world now.
Yeah.
I mean, how can anybody ever trust us again to do anything? Anything. These MAGA people are traitors. They're a remnant from the Confederacy.
Yeah.
We never followed through with Reconstruction. We let them create their own fantasy history, put up their fake statues of their traitorous generals.
Yep.
You know, Southern apology, all this stuff. We never finished the job, and we've been going back down to the South that kicked their ass, you know, every 100 years. It's enough. And we got to stop giving these MAGA people the benefit of the doubt. They're liars, they're cowards, and they've destroyed our name. Our country, nobody can trust us again. How? Every 4 years, we got to worry about some MAGA idiot getting elected and just pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord, pulling out of NATO, pulling out of the EU. He's going to do all of it. Yeah. This country's going to be irrecognizable after 4 years.
Can I ask you? So first of all, I agree with everything you just said. In my personal opinion, a lot of what I see in this country now is unrecognizable. I thought Joe Biden was a decent president. He had his faults, but I thought he accomplished a lot. But even now, and what do I mean by that? Well, let me explain what I mean by that, and you can tell me whether you disagree or not. I always knew there were a lot of bigots in this country and people that are filled with hate. But what I didn't realize is how open they are about it now. And, you know, they say it by the day, that the anti-immigration, anti-black, anti-brown, anti-gay, anti-transgender, everything I see on right-wing conservative talk radio and on television is attacking the black community. If you go on Fox News, they'll only show black people committing crimes. It's despicable. They'll talk about George Soros on occasion. And, you know, they call you pedophiles. They'll call you every name in the book. And then when you ask them to name one Donald Trump policy that they agree with, they'll either stumble, they won't know what to say, or they'll say, make America first, which is a joke. And can you imagine, my friend, if I told you that a newly elected president, if I told you this 10 years ago, that a newly elected president would have a crypto scandal and make $6 billion within days of being in office on a crypto scandal, would you have believed me if I would have told you that 10 years ago?
No, but you're right. It's unrecognizable. They want to take away the Department of Education. I mean, this is the whole thing with the medical thing that's happening now too. We're going to, you know, totally, it's unbelievable. I don't even know. I'm surrounded by MAGA. I mean, it's almost like a body snatchers thing. You know, my family members are just popping up. Oh yeah, I voted for Trump. What? Like, I don't know. It's just too much.
I lose a lot of respect for people that continue to defend Donald Trump. I really do. Back in 2016, I made a grave mistake. Now, I didn't vote for Donald Trump because I never liked Donald Trump. But I wasn't a big Hillary supporter. So I said, you know what? I'll sit this one out because in good conscience, I don't think I can vote for either of them. Obviously, my vote would have changed today because I had no idea the monster that Donald Trump would become. When I saw him visit Barack Obama in the White House, I said, hey, that's a different Donald Trump. He looked presidential. But that was just an act. The real Donald Trump is the guy that is off script, speaking every day, whether it be to reporters or his friends. I had no idea, and I made a mistake. And I give a lot of people passes like me.
Right.
But back in 2000,
if you voted for him once in 2016, but 3 times, forget it.
Well,
you voted for him 3 times.
Right. I have little respect for that. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because the same MAGA morons who talk about Burisma and the fact that Hunter Biden was making $50,000 a month from Burisma, or they'll talk about Hunter Biden's paintings. By the way, Hunter Biden's never even been in office. He's never worked for his father in office before. But they never even mention the fact that Donald Trump has literally made $6 billion off of his crypto scam. and Jared Kushner received $2.1
Yeah,
billion
$2 billion.
from the Saudis. They'll never bring any of this stuff up. By the way, Jared Kushner worked in Donald Trump's administration, and we're talking about Donald Trump, who's the president. Hunter never even had a job within the government. But they still want to talk about Burisma and some paintings that Hunter Biden sold, but have no problem with Donald Trump making $6 billion. We need to mention this every single day. Every single day. If they want to bring up Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or George Soros or whoever they want to bring up, what do you think about Trump making $6 billion off of a crypto scam? And if all these MAGA morons out there want to burn their money, go right ahead. Go right ahead. They deserve it because they're stupid.
And last thing, I'll let you go. I know you're busy, but him freeing those J6s, he just got himself his own militia now. That's what he did.
I agree.
Right?
Stand back and stand by.
So that's it. Do you think they're ever going to walk away from him now? But thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Stand back and stand by. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Kim. Kim is next up on, I think we hung up on Kim by accident. Let's go to Stacy. Stacy's next up on PTL. Hey, Stacy, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Calling from Las Vegas. This is my first time. It's great to talk to you. I just wanted to say something to Al. He said that he would need to look into the people that Donald Trump pardoned compared to the guy that killed the FBI agents that Biden released. Well, the guy that Biden released is 80 years old and he's not in good health. Not that makes a difference because I'm with you. I don't agree with any pardons.
Right. But it's important to show background to that, though. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's a lot different than the 20s and 30-year-old guys that got let out by Trump who beat police officers. He even allowed one of them who beat a woman police officer and hit her so hard in the head that she has brain damage now. One of the Capitol police officers.
It's horrible.
Donald Trump also let out a guy who sold illicit drugs through the internet and was responsible for 6 deaths. And yet these MAGA people want to look at Joe and go, oh, but Joe, he let all his family members off and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, gave them all pardons. They never committed a crime. He gave them a pardon so that they wouldn't have to suffer any backlash from Donald Trump.
Yeah, there's also a fine line between giving, even though I might disagree with it, there's still a large fine line between giving somebody a pardon who's never been convicted or charged with a crime compared to those who have been convicted of seditious conspiracy on January 6th, those who beat police officers. These MAGA morons, it'll continue with them. But we are going to hold Donald Trump
accountable. Let's not forget the pardons last time.
Right.
He pardoned Roger Stone and, all those people that committed crimes then, too.
Correct. It's going to continue, by the way. It's going to continue.
Yeah, I know.
What's really dangerous is that anybody in Donald Trump's orbit can commit a horrible crime, and Donald Trump will pardon them, most likely. So and he has the power. He certainly has the backing money financially. He just made $6 billion off of crypto. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
this is what we're going to have to deal with over the course of the next 4 years, and we're just going to have to call it out every day. There's nothing else to say. He's running a dictatorship. He's running an oligarchy, and that's what we're going to have to deal with. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next up on PTL. What's up, Carl?
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Good.
Listen, nobody mentioned anything about Trump is now, if you notice, pulling out of almost every world organization, but none of these organizations in the world have any dictator-type people or countries. They won't go. So he's imitating actually all these countries that don't belong to any of the world organizations because dictators do not want to.
Right.
And people don't, if they can see that he's trying to imitate the dictatorship countries around the world.
You're right.
And he wants to be just like them.
Yep.
And, they won't belong to the world organizations, the health organization, nothing. There are no dictators in any of these organizations. And he wants to get out of them, too, just like the rest of them. So that just proves what type of mindset he has.
Well, that is his mind. His mindset, believe him when he admires evil, murderous dictators. When he walks into any room at Mar-a-Lago and they always give him a standing ovation, whether he's president or not, he wants to be treated like a Kim Jong-un or a Vladimir Putin. This is more than just a schoolyard bully. This is already a man who is a 34-count felon. This is already a man who is liable for sexual abuse. And this is a man who attacks anyone who disagrees with him. And he'll be more nasty to one of our own politicians than to an evil, murderous dictator like Kim Jong-un. He just called Kim Jong-un a smart man yesterday. He said very similar statements about Vladimir Putin. He's still blaming Zelensky for the war, which is unbelievable. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Good.
I'm calling, kind of changing the subject a little bit, if you don't mind. I'm calling about Marion Budd and the sermon that she gave on Inauguration Day, and wondering if you had any discussion of that and the way that Trump responded to it, and his vice president. And
Dave, did you listen yesterday by chance? Did you listen to the show yesterday?
Well, I evidently skipped yesterday.
Well,
so
to brief you on it, she said nothing wrong. All she asked for was for mercy. She didn't make it political. And as I've said before, and I say again, anybody who had any problem with anything that bishop said is probably a bigot and a racist. She didn't say anything. In fact, those were Jesus's teachings, and I'm not even a religious person. I actually spoke to somebody yesterday who does sermons for a living and has dedicated her life to this, had told me that that's Jesus's teachings, to show mercy for those that might be less fortunate. Families in this country that are scared, that are worried that their families are going to be broken up. Those in the LGBTQ community, those that are trans, that are scared. That's all she asked for, was for mercy. She didn't make it political. She didn't talk about the election.
Yeah.
She didn't talk about Democrats versus Republicans. And then let me be clear. Anybody who had a problem with what she said is most likely a bigot. They might be a homophobe, they might be transphobic, or they're probably racist. Very simply put.
Yeah. I taught, as an English teacher, I taught speech, and I used to assign Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, and we studied some of the greatest speeches that have been made in mankind. And I'm going to make a prediction on this one. This lady had, pardon the expression, but she had some balls to get up there and say what
no
she
doubt.
said.
I have a lot of admiration.
It's going to go down as one of the great moments in American history.
Agree.
For speech.
Agree, my friend. And I've been emailing her. We're trying to get her on the show next week. She has a lot of requests. I'd love to get her on. And I agree with everything you just said. You're right. It took some guts to do what she did. And I appreciate her very well, very much so. And Donald Trump and J.D. Vance were embarrassed. They sat there. They were forced to listen to it, and they were embarrassed. And all she asked for was for mercy. And all Donald Trump had to say was, okay, I think it's important to have compassion for people. We have to have laws in this country, but all he had to do was make a quick statement. Instead, he attacked her like many of the MAGA morons do. Oh, you're a liberal. You're this. You're a lefty. You're a lunatic. Okay, so asking for mercy makes you a lunatic? All right, here we go. It's time for the MAGA destroyer. We all love Darlene, the MAGA destroyer, Darlene. Darlene, what's going on, girl? Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Brian. Now, Brian, please give me. I got to say two things real quick.
Sure.
First of all, I do agree with all the MAGA Republicans and Republicans. They do back the blue. They back the blue into a corner and beat the shit out of them. That's for starters. Now I want to tell you a quick story that I just saw a while ago. This is what Trump has did to our United States. I'm going to make it short because I don't want to tell the whole long thing, but this white man walked into this cafe, and there was a white man sitting there, and he overheard this white man. When he came into the door, he was saying, F this, F that, evidently the N-word. I'm not for sure on that. But anyway, he said, they go, no, you don't need to talk like this. He goes, I can talk any way I want to because Trump is our president now. And then not only did he do that, he said, oh, and I'm so happy about that deal that Trump got rid of. And they're like, deal? He said, yeah, He said, now we don't have to worry about them hiring any queers and black people. And this is it's on video. I will tell you the name, but you'll find it.
So I'm going to repeat
and that is a true story.
I'm going to repeat what Darlene just said because it is interesting. Darlene said, yes, MAGA do back the blue. They back the blue into a corner and beat the crap out of them. So I tend to agree with you on that. That's how they back the blue. Only when it's convenient for them do they back anybody. But if it makes them look bad, or if it makes Donald Trump look bad, all of a sudden, they don't back them anymore. They did the same stuff with Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney. They only back you until you decide to speak truth to power. And that is exactly where the MAGA Republicans are at today. And I appreciate you, Darlene, and I look forward to talking to you on Monday. You're going to enjoy my guest on Monday. It's George Santos, so I know you're going to have something to say about that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you're going to have something to say about that.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Darlene. You too. Good to hear from you, as always. 702-221-7283. Let's go to CJ. CJ is next up on PTL. Hi, CJ.
Hello. I'm in Florida. I spoke to you a couple weeks ago, and I'd like to say that I'm proactively trying to protect my neighbors. I gave them a key to my house to make sure that if ICE comes into the neighborhood, which they are trying to get their citizenship right.
Right.
And I'm just in case they have to hide.
Right.
Because I know they're not going to come to my house because I'm a white male.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
well, you sound
they're
like you're
good people.
You sound like you're a compassionate man, and I certainly can appreciate that. And going back to what the bishop said, there are a lot of families that are scared, right? You see it firsthand. Some of your neighbors, you see it and you hear it, and I think you would agree with me. While we all want people to come into this country legally, in a perfect world, we would love everybody to be here legally. That is not where we're at today. And there are a lot of people in this country that do pay their taxes. There are people in this country that might not have the proper documentation, but they pay their taxes. They're decent, good people. And they don't deserve to be separated from their families. We have to work something out with them, right? And I'm glad that you're a compassionate man, and I know there's a lot of other people out there like you.
And their son is an American citizen. He was born here.
Right, right.
I've been trying to give them advice of how to keep the family together.
Right.
By possibly using the work visa, because
right.
The father owns the company, but I said transfer it to the son and
you're right.
Have him request them as workers.
No, listen, let me just say this again. You sound like a really good man, and I'm glad that there are people like that out there like you that care about immigration and those that might not have the proper documentation but are decent, good people. Thank you for your call, sir. I appreciate you. We're going to take one more phone call, and then we are going to go to break, and then we're going to be introducing my next guest. Let's go to Couch, also known as J.D. Vance's other second partner. Hello, Couch. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
What's going on, Brian? Yesterday you said Trump was a liable sexual abuser.
Oh, I didn't say that. That's what a jury said, sir.
All right, and a jury also committed the Central Park 5, correct?
Yep, that's actually
Okay.
Those are actually so you're saying because one case got it wrong, they certainly must have gotten the case wrong. Well, that's a great argument,
There's
sir.
a name.
No,
there's a
sir.
man by the name of Eddie Elmore Lee. Who
Listen,
was
sir, I
at
agree with you.
16.
Couch, I agree with you. I think that's a really important take, and I want to repeat it to all my listeners, and I don't think I'm mischaracterizing your take. So because in some instances the jury might have gotten cases wrong, that must mean that every case is not valid. Couch, I think that's a very intelligent take on your part. So let's just throw away the justice system altogether because a few cases were wrong. By the way, I think the O.J. Simpson verdict was wrong too. So because the O.J. Simpson, right? Okay, so we agree on that, and I'm being a little sarcastic, of course, but because I think what you're saying is absurd. So because O.J. Simpson case, we believe they got it wrong. That must mean every case in this country is wrong. Couch, are you being serious with that take? Because it's probably the most idiotic case I've ever heard.
No, hold on. I just want to point out that there's a chance they got it wrong.
Okay,
right?
so if your argument is there's a chance they might have got it wrong, or if your argument is I don't agree with their decision, okay, fine. I'll have a reasonable conversation with you. But here's my problem, Couch, okay? Hear me out on this. It's not just about one individual situation. It's the way Donald Trump has treated women his entire life. Examples. His own ex-wife in court documents claimed that he raped her. 25 women have come forward and claimed that they were sexually abused or raped. So if you're going to claim that you don't believe E. Jean Carroll and you don't believe the jury made the right decision, okay, no problem. But we're not talking about one case. We're talking about the history of Donald Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein caught on audio saying that Donald Trump was his best friend. These are the people that Donald Trump associated himself with, and these are the relationships he's had with women, bragging about sexual assault. So, Couch, it's not just about one case that you might disagree with. It's okay to disagree on an outcome, but here's the difference between you and me. I still am willing to admit that O.J. Simpson was not convicted of murder. Donald Trump was found liable for
He was not convicted.
Was Donald Trump, did I say he was convicted for sexual? Did I say that?
You said O.J. was convicted.
What are you talking about? I just said O.J. was not convicted. You have to listen to me.
Or not convicted, or which would mean
You're mixed
not
up,
found
sir.
liable?
Couch. O.J. Simpson was found liable. Are you not aware of that? O.J. was found liable for double murder. Are you not aware of that, sir? Let me ask it again because I think Kat got your tongue. Are you not aware that O.J. Simpson was found liable for double murder?
100%.
Okay. Was Donald
What did you just say?
What was Donald Trump found liable for sexual abuse? Yes or no?
He was not convicted of it.
That wasn't the question. The question wasn't what was he convicted of. I'm going to ask it now. I'm going to ask it now for a fifth. Sir, I need you to answer my question directly because we have a guest waiting who's probably far better looking than you, so it's more important. With all due respect. Was Donald Trump found liable for sexual abuse? Yes or no? Please answer the question.
Wrongfully, yes.
Was Donald Trump found liable for sexual abuse? Yes or no?
Wrongfully, yes.
Wrong. I didn't ask you what your opinion was on it. You can't even answer the question, can you?
I did.
No. I didn't ask you what your I didn't ask you what your
But you know that.
I didn't ask you what your opinion was. I don't care what your opinion is on the case. It's a yes or no. Let's see if you're capable. I'm now asking it for the 10th time. Was Donald Trump found liable for sexual abuse? I don't care whether you think it was wrongfully or not. Is he a liable sexual abuser? Yes or no?
Wrongfully, yes.
Okay. You can't even answer the question because you're a doofus. Oh, my God. So let's review before we take a break. Couch, is that even a name? Couch? Is that even a name? Is that even his name? Sir, if your name is Couch, has J.D. Vance ever sexually abused you, sir, since you're a Couch?
Yes. And I would like you
Oh,
not
wow. J.D., he just said yes. Was he naked when he sexually abused you?
Sir, I would like you not to talk about that on the air, please.
Oh, wow. I think J.D. Vance might have actually done something to this guy. Did J.D. Vance ever touch you? Did J.D. Vance ever touch you inappropriately since you are a Couch?
Sir, I don't know why you would harass a victim like that.
I'm sorry. No, I have sympathy for you.
What is happening here?
Sir,
so now I'm black and I'm a...
Now you're black.
Why do you hate me so much?
Why did you bring black into the equation?
What's the problem with me being black?
When did I bring up you being black? Or are you just trying to be funny? It's not easy to be funny, is it, sir?
Did you say you're black?
No, I didn't say that. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears. If J.D. Vance did sexually assault you, sir, I don't think that's funny at all. The reason why I brought it up, and I don't think you're smart enough to understand it, is because the rumors that were circulating, because I know you MAGA people love rumors, is that J.D. Vance sexually abuses Couches. Your name is Couch. That's why I brought it up. And you said yes. So I'm sorry if J.D. Vance did something inappropriate to you, sir. My condolences
I
to you.
appreciate your apology.
Thank you. Have a nice day. You're wasting my airtime, Couch. Good Lord. All right, we're going to take a break. I know there's a lot more people on hold. Coming up next, her name is Courtney Tillia. She's done this show before. She is a former teacher, now creator, making boatloads of money. I love getting into certain topics with her, political topics. She's very politically savvy. She's in town for the AVNs, and we are going to be talking to her next. We're also going to be taking phone calls. I love to get a female's perspective on all the things that have been going on in this country, particularly over the course of the last week or two. We'll take a quick break. Courtney's going to be joining us next. For those of you that are on hold, stick around. We'll take some more phone calls when we come back. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Kids World. Complete Family Care in Henderson is open. No waiting, just walk in, see the doctor right away, have your blood and x-rays done on site, and so call them today at 702-747-7770. Fall allergy season is here. Get a 3-month allergy shot for $120. 3 months of allergy relief for just $120. Complete Family Care accepts all major insurances and Medicare, so visit us today at cfchenderson.com. That's cfchenderson.com, or call them at 702-747-7770. That's 747-7770.
Lee Canyon is Las Vegas's nearby ski and snowboard escape. Less than an hour from the Strip, experience great snow and terrain for all ability levels. And oh, the stunning mountain scenery. We believe in skiing for all, with lift tickets starting at just $14. And kids under 12 ski free. The season runs from November to April, sometimes May. So get skiing now. Learn more at LeeCanyonLV.com.
Organized crime and law enforcement, we put in the work to get to the bottom of some of history's most intriguing tales, exploring the age-old dichotomy of the good guys versus the bad guys. Located in the heart of downtown Las Vegas, the Mob Museum is an immersive experience, exploring the ongoing power struggles between organized crime and law enforcement from the mob's origination to today. Located at 300 Stewart and 4th Street, themobmuseum.org. Let's have a sit-down.
Discover the art of flawless beauty at Beauty by Thread in Las Vegas. Specializing in eyebrow threading, the skilled professionals will give you the perfect arch every time. Whether it's your brows, upper lip, neck, or full face, Beauty by Thread has you covered. Located in the heart of Las Vegas at 7415 South Durango, Unit 101. Hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. by appointment only. So book your appointment today with Helen by calling or texting her at 714-470-1369. And don't forget to mention KSHP.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. So, as you know, Nicole Mitchell joined us in studio yesterday. She played Pam Bondi for 15 minutes and duped a lot of people. She was very good. That was a fun segment. The AVN Expo's in town. There's a lot of people that are OnlyFans models, a lot of people that make a lot more money than I make, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. But a lot of beautiful people in town and a lot of intelligent people and people that are on the right side of history. I met a lot of listeners, actually, believe it or not, yesterday with Nicole. We had a little contest. How many people are going to recognize her compared to recognize me? It's always the middle-aged dudes that recognize me. I don't know. It's weird like that. But anyway, welcome back to the show. So the lovely lady we have with us in studio right now, she's a former teacher. She's been on the show before. And she said, you know what? They're giving me hell because I'm wearing clothes that some people would consider way too sexy. I'm getting out of this industry, and I'm going to do my own thing as a creator. And she's made boatloads of money doing it. And it's a pleasure having her in studio. Courtney Tillia joining us right now. Courtney, it's great to see you again. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Yes, and you're always very politically savvy when it comes to big stories. I'll get to Donald Trump.
Okay.
I want to start about the fires first because
Yeah.
you are about 7 miles away from these horrible fires taking
Yeah.
place in California. Can you just give people some background on where you live and how far you are?
Yeah, I am in a pretty little safe area, but these fires have happened so fast. And I think that, you watch the news and you're watching different things and it's easy to judge or be like, how would that happen like that? And there's a lot of things that have taken place. One, the terrain is uphill. It's steep. It's thick brush. And it's dry. I heard on the news that we haven't had rain in 8 months.
Right.
And then you have these red wind warnings.
Wait, you're not blaming DEI hires?
I absolutely would not. And so you have these winds that got up to 100 miles an hour, and the
Right.
things were just spreading so fast. And then you can't do airdrops, and it
You
just
have
made
ash
it crazy.
all over your yard?
Yes.
God, that's so
all
scary.
over.
But your house is okay.
Our house is okay. Yep,
Yeah.
we are totally good. The air quality is moving, but you still got to be careful because there's asbestos, there is
Right.
lead paint. A lot of these houses were built so long ago.
How far are you from the Palisades?
That's 7 miles.
Wow, that
Yeah.
whole area is gone.
I know my kids lost their theater, and I will never forget. We looked out our window, and my kids are in school in the Palisades, and we look out and see billowing smoke, and I panic because I'm like, my kids are in there.
Of course.
And of course, at that moment, we didn't know the extent that it was going to become. And run down to the school. It was very difficult to get them out because they're trying to check driver's license and do it
I'm
like
so
the
sorry.
way that they're supposed to.
That's traumatic to see that stuff.
Yeah.
And
And then watching on the news, watching their theater burn down, and watching it get to all the things that I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's
That's
been
so
devastating.
I'm so sorry, and obviously for all the people that were affected. I think how a normal person reacts to this that don't live in California like me or normal people, we think about people like you. We think about your kids. We think about people that have lost their lives. We think about
Yeah.
people that have lost their homes, their livelihood, right? What can we do to help, right? I donated some money. Jimmy Kimmel has a foundation that I donated to, and there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things. I want to start
Yeah.
with positive. People like, I'm going to name a few. Jay Leno has been serving food to the firefighters, which I think Jay Leno's awesome. And I look at some other people like Sean Penn, who has his organization. And there are so many. Angelina Jolie has literally opened up her house to strangers. So there are a lot of good people doing a lot of good things. But what gets me so damn angry are the people that make this political. They want to go after the mayor. They want to go after Gavin Newsom. First of all, if you want to do that and point fingers, fine. But now's not the time, right?
Right.
What do you make of that? And Donald Trump now wanting to put in stipulations to aid, to help your friends. What do you
Yeah.
make of that?
It's frustrating because in the midst when it was becoming political, we were literally in a state of emergency. Evacuation orders were popping up on my phone nonstop, and you're getting the emergency alerts. And I was like, now is not the moment. I think there's things for us to discuss and look at and
Yeah.
dive into, sure. But in the moment where we're literally trying to save animals and people, I remember watching the news. This was the most horrific moment, was when the Eaton fire started. and it blew up so fast, and they were emptying out a senior center, and they started rolling out beds, hospital beds, with people who are like hospice, that are like elderly, that are like can't move, on breathing tanks, and they're all in a parking lot with plumes of smoke. And I was like, this is horrific. These are people's loved ones. These are people's like
Right.
final moments in life. It's cold in LA. It's so windy. Like, these people should absolutely not be outside. And so, like, to politicize something that is so horrific to not just even a small group, but thousands and thousands of people.
It's
It's not
despicable.
it's not the moment. It's not the time.
And after the attack in New Orleans, the terrorist
Yes.
attack, they blamed it on Joe Biden open border
Yeah.
policies, right? Which is absurd because it wasn't even an illegal that committed those horrible heinous crimes. And now they're blaming it on DEI hires of firefighters that are risking their lives every day, working 25-hour shifts. They're blaming it on a lot of things that, Donald Trump the other day was talking about sprinklers, that somehow sprinklers were, first of all, this started in residential areas. So it wasn't, raking forests that started the most of these
Yep.
fires. There could be some arson involved as well. But we also know, as you mentioned, 100-mile-per-hour winds, the drought that they have been facing. And Donald Trump makes it sound like you can just turn a faucet on and this would have never happened.
Well, and that's what a lot of my cousins who don't live in state were like, Courtney, how come there's no water in the hydrants? And I was like, love, like, you got to understand, like, we're pumping so much water through so many different places. And then you have people who are using their hoses because they're like, well, I got to try and save it myself. And so that takes down the water pressure, and then you have no power and it's trying to pump uphill, and that takes down the water pressure, and we're trying to fight this like fire that's just, it needed airdrops.
Right.
It needed that.
And
So,
they're working 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Are you involved in any charities that you'd like to talk about to help people?
Yeah, I started GoFundMe for a dear friend of mine. She's a single mom. They lost their home. They barely were able to get in to get their dog out, but they did. So we're so thankful for that. But they lost everything. They lost their home, all their belongings. She lost her job. She's a school teacher. And so I started a GoFundMe for them. And then I also am a huge dog lover. If you follow me on social media, you know that. And I collect donations to drop off crates.
That's so nice of you.
So we've saved tons and tons of dogs. And then we've collected, anything. The firefighters were like, we need pop-up tables and tents. And so, like, literally the night of the fire, we like went into our shed and like grabbed all those things. So it's like, I'm in a community support group. Anything that's needed, we find it, we donate it, and we get it to where it needs to be.
That's so nice of you. I really appreciate you doing that. And there's so many other people like you that are doing so many wonderful things that I like to talk about. And unfortunately, sometimes it gets overshadowed by the hatred. And, I feel like, and you tell me if you disagree, that Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are holding Gavin Newsom and some of the Democrats that they might disagree with politically, they're holding them hostage. There are people that, as you said, they've lost their homes, they've lost everything, they've lost loved ones. And at this time, you don't hear Donald Trump saying, geez, our thoughts and prayers for the families. This is horrible. We'll be there for you. Like the way Joe Biden did right there at the day of the tragedy. He was there. He was meeting with first responders. And I just feel like in a time of need like this, it's usually the Democrats, not all the time, but usually the Democrats, like the hurricanes in Florida. They're always there giving 100%. I remember Chris Christie, New Jersey, got criticized for shaking the hand of Barack Obama when they were going through some horrible circumstances with the weather. And Obama was there for them. Joe Biden's there for the state of California, of course. And Donald Trump wants to withhold aid because maybe he didn't win California. It's so childish and it's so awful.
And let's not mention that he hasn't come to California once since the fires.
Mhm.
And
He's been playing golf.
yeah. I live close to LAX, so I was in my house when Biden flew over because he's got the whole like entourage, and we are still waiting on Trump to make his appearance in California. But
Interesting.
he's so petty, and we've known that for a long time. Before any of this took place, he's done this to Gavin Newsom in California. He's going to withhold things. He's going to do things. He's going to, all these things. So his reaction to this is unfortunately not shocking. It's devastating because it doesn't impact Gavin Newsom. I mean, yes, but like the real people that it impacts are the victims.
Sure.
Who are like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's Malibu. There's a lot of money in there. It's the Palisades, also a lot of money in there. And the truth is, yes, there's money, and also there's not, because there's people who have been passed down generational homes from parents, loved ones, whatever it is, and they actually don't have any money. And so losing this home makes them homeless.
They've lost
They're in
everything.
shelters. They're like
Some of them have
yes,
also lost their jobs.
correct.
You
Those
can't
that burned down too.
can't work in an office if it's burnt down.
Exactly.
So many have lost their businesses, not
Yes.
just their homes. And it's not so easy to rebuild when you don't have the money to do it.
And let's also remember that how traumatizing this is. Like, just to be like, oh, we're gonna get out there and rebuild. I do think we will get there, but like, there's a huge grieving process that's happening where like, it's not just your home and your belongings, it's memories, it's your community, it's family. Like, it's so much that goes into it that I think people are just kind of like, meh, whatever.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. We hope that everybody gets whatever they can in such a very difficult time.
Yes.
Courtney, what do you say we get to some phone calls? Maybe people can
Let's do it.
ask you some questions. So Courtney is a former teacher, and now she is a creator, an OnlyFans model, and certainly on the right side of history when it comes to a lot of the very serious topics that we talk about on this show. And I was unaware that she only lives 7 miles from the Palisades. My goodness, I'm so glad that you're home and your family's okay. Taking your phone calls at 702-221-7283. That is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. And we've talked about a lot of topics today. Besides the fires that have taken place in California, which are still going strong. I saw the news yesterday, new fires near LA, just horrible. So we're talking about the fires, of course, and I want to get your thoughts too on all of the pardons of Donald Trump when it comes to January 6 prisoners. 1,500 pardons. Out of those 1,500, almost half of them are violent criminals, those that beat police officers, those that sprayed officers with bear spray, beat them with their own batons, the leader of the Oath Keepers, the leader of the Proud Boys. Donald Trump decided to pardon all of these people with the exception of just a few. Before we get to the calls, I wanted to ask you about that, Courtney. What do you think of these pardons? They call themselves the Law and Order Party.
I want to say it's shocking, but it's not, but it's disgusting. Because these are, like you said, they're criminals, but these are people who don't care about the country. They don't care about people. Like the ways that they went about things, like that isn't somebody that I personally want on the streets.
I agree. Can you imagine, God forbid, if you lost a loved one, or God forbid your husband
That
was
police officer.
correct. There were several, and
Yeah.
Brian Sitnick, one of them. Just think about if your husband was a Capitol police officer and he lost his life, or he had traumatic brain injury, or had committed suicide. We know a couple officers that committed suicide.
Yes.
And you learn that those perpetrators that beat your husband are now free.
Yeah.
That Donald Trump said, "Oh, they've served too much time and they're free." Like, what? I can't even imagine what would be going through their mind.
Oh, I can't even fathom. I cannot even fathom. And wasn't there a tour given?
They're giving tours, and the leader of the Oath Keepers was there in the same area where he committed these heinous crimes. Yeah, you're right. These right wingers out there want to give these people tours who literally are violent criminals.
It's crazy.
The Q shaman who wore that weird getup,
Yes,
who's done
yes.
this show, by the way, and is afraid to come back on. I don't blame him, because for 50 minutes I destroyed him. That moron, the first thing he said on social media after he learned he got a pardon was, "I can't wait to buy some mother effing guns." That was the first thing he said. 702-221-7283. All right, let's take some phone calls. We got the beautiful and talented Courtney Tillia in the studio. Let's go to Mathan. Mathan is first up on PTL. Hi, Mathan. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. How are you? And I just want to say hi, Courtney. And I'm so glad your home is safe. I live in Fillmore, Ventura County, so I'm like 20 miles from the closest fire. And I do want people to understand that, yes, you can rebuild a structure, but there are so many things that you can't replace, memories and memorabilia and stuff that can't be replaced. So my sister and I have actually packed up bags to take with us in case we have to evacuate. We were under evacuation order yesterday, but we didn't get evacuated, thank heavens.
Thank goodness. Yeah, I think that's a huge piece of it that people don't realize is like the memories, the photos. I heard a family say that they didn't have any of their photos from like grandparents and great grandparents, and they went down.
Oh,
Those are the
wow.
things that you, like you said, you can't replace those. That's just it.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you, my dear, for the call. We're glad you're okay. If you're 80, 90 years old, 70 years old, how do you rebuild at that age? I mean, I say to myself, no, I'm just going to rent somewhere and get out of here. I mean, the Palisades, in my opinion, at least in our lifetime, I'd be surprised if it ever was the same ever again. I mean, they will rebuild, but I don't think it'll be the same. A beautiful, beautiful areas there around the beach, and it's beautiful. But now it's a war. It's like a war zone right now.
It literally looks like a war zone. I heard somebody too say that many of those structures are so old that they wouldn't even pass building permits to build in those ways, like on the side of PCH,
Right.
on some of the canyons and the Palisades, that like those homes will not be able to be rebuilt in those ways.
So sad.
Yeah.
Even Paris Hilton's home I saw had burned down. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Frank. Frank is next on PTL. What's up, Frank?
Hi, Nicole. Did you hear that Donald Trump today did not go to California? He went to North Carolina.
Not shocked.
Maybe he hung out with Mark Robinson and they went to a bunch of porn DVD stores together. I don't know. That's just a rumor. I don't know if that's true.
I think he skipped going to California.
Why did he go to North Carolina? Like, who did he speak with? Do you know? Because I'm unaware. Who did he speak with?
No, I saw on social media on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it was or not, but I saw the what they put up that he had gone to North Carolina instead of California.
Well, listen, let's be very clear on this. That fat ass could get up in the morning after he puts on his 8 layers of orange orangutan makeup and his 4 hair transplants and fake teeth. He could get his obese body out of bed and he could get on a plane and he can fly to California within the hour if he wanted to. He's the president of the United States. He would rather get up, hang out at Mar-a-Lago, talk to Stephen Miller, talk to the idiots in his administration, eat some KFC food, play some golf, and then maybe make an appearance on Newsmax. He would rather do that than go to California and speak to some of Courtney's friends who are suffering and struggling, because this man does not have an ounce of empathy. That's why.
No, he doesn't. If that was Joe Biden doing that, oh my God, they would have crucified that man.
Here we go. You ready for this one? You can hang on the line for this one. Courtney, if you had a chance to sit next to Donald Trump today, not too close, hopefully.
I was like, I don't know about that, but okay.
Not too close, because that would probably be dangerous for you.
Yes,
and
it would.
The stench probably would be bad enough alone. What would you say to him? I'm just curious.
I've thought about this before, but like, there's nothing that you could say that would get through to him. Like, there's no ounce of empathy. There's no ounce of understanding. Like the bishop, I think what she said was beautiful. I think it was just like trying to understand and love and like, can we just give grace to people?
Right.
And he literally has like said terrible things about this woman who was like, can we love people? He's so set on this hate message and his Project 2025 pathways that he's just, there's nothing to be said.
I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you for letting
you.
me. Thank you for letting me know. I have some breaking news that Courtney's probably not going to like very much. No, Donald Trump isn't taking his clothes off. I know you wouldn't like that.
Oh, devastating.
Unfortunately, Donald Trump has just suggested that he will not provide aid to California unless they pass a voter ID law.
Yes. My husband just told me this on the way in.
What do you make of that?
It's all petty. It's all petty stuff of control and manipulation. And that's his entire tactic.
Can you imagine? There are people, again, we've talked about this, people that have lost their lives, families that have literally nothing. And if Donald Trump had it his way, he would still charge them $60 for a Trump Bible. I mean, he's insane. This is an insane man.
Yeah.
There are people that are suffering out there. I don't care whether they're Republicans and Democrats. I don't care whether it's James Woods, even though he's despicable. I don't care if it's James Woods, right, or Justin Bieber. Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care how much money you have.
Yep.
Obviously, we want to start with the people that have no money, I would say, and nothing. But he won't even fly to California.
No, but this is all part of his thing. He's only cared about the wealthy. That's what's always so shocking about this entire election, is that he's only cared about the wealthy, but everybody has poured out thinking that he's going to help them in some way.
Did you hear
and
him
the
say?
Inauguration, all of the middle, all his billionaires are inside. Everybody else was left outside in the cold. And that is exactly what he's always shown to be. So it's not shocking.
Yeah, that's very true. These rich people, they have to take showers. Did you hear him say that the other day?
No, I missed that one.
He's talking about how rich people need more water and they take more showers. I'm like, oh my God. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to David. David is next up on PTL. What's up, David?
Hey there. It seems that there's the increase in fires is kind of like a little bit scary. Like I know that fires have been happening in California for a long time, but it's in the last 10 years it really seems to be getting out of control. And I'm wondering if you guys feel like the people in charge could have done a little bit more in preparation of what we're dealing with right now.
So I think it's very fair to say that things maybe could have been done a little bit differently to help prevent something like this from happening. I don't think that is an unfair statement to make, but I think it is a stretch to say that this is all on Gavin Newsom, it's DEI hires, it's Democrat policies, right? We've had catastrophes and horrible things that have happened, disasters all over the country. And in my personal opinion, look after 9/11. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, David, right? So right after 9/11, everybody wasn't criticizing George W. Bush and Condoleezza Rice for at least a week anyway. The country came together.
Yes.
And I'm not a George W. Bush fan, but when he took that...
But ultimately, we did realize Dick Cheney made some really bad decisions after 9/11. And that,
And that's,
I guess
okay.
what I'm wondering is...
So here, hold on. But David, let me just finish my point, and then you can take the floor here. The point I'm trying to make is this. In the days and weeks after an event that is still going on, there are people, their homes are burning right now as we speak. And Donald Trump is making it all about politics. He's saying he's not even going to help and send aid unless they pass a voter ID law. I'm not saying what you're saying is unreasonable. I think it's fair to have some criticism. It's also fair to say that 100-mile-per-hour winds and the big drought that they've experienced, I think in the last 60 years, might have also played a role. I'm not saying it's not fair to point fingers. What I am saying is it's not fair to withhold aid and play politics when people are dying and losing their homes, David. Surely you would agree with me on that.
Do you have to wonder whether or not the people that were in charge before this happened are the right people to lead us now that it has happened? And I guess my question for you is, do you think Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom survived this?
You're talking about politically, I would assume.
Well, I mean, the fire came through and there was no water in the Pacific Palisades Reservoir. I mean,
Okay,
the fire hydrant.
So if you speak to people, and by the way, the investigation is still ongoing, so there's no thorough answers as to why this could have happened. So I think it's very important to wait until that is finished. But if you talk to many of the people that are on the ground that are actually experts, they would say that one reservoir would not have stopped these fires. So again, I go back to saying what I said earlier. Now is not the time to talk about the political future, in my opinion, of Gavin Newsom or the mayor of LA. Now is the time to help the victims, help their families, and help them rebuild. There should be a thorough investigation, which there will be. Do you not agree with me on that?
I kind of feel like it's not just the reservoir. I kind of feel like the whole policy around water in California is archaic. It's like, this isn't 1974. Like, amazing advances have been made in water technology.
David, I don't live in California. Courtney, why don't you respond to what he said?
I don't actually know what part he's talking about. What I wanted to talk about, though, was the original question, which was climate change is a huge. So you're seeing in 10 years, yes, we've always had fires, but you're seeing a huge climate change. These winds that we're getting, these Santa Ana winds, 100 miles an hour, that's a level 2 hurricane level winds in California. But it's not, yes, California is greatly impacted, but we're seeing this across the globe. We're seeing these impacts of huge natural disasters that are happening because of this climate change that we are now going to remove ourselves from making any change in this.
Courtney, I agree with
that. I just watched an old video from John Coleman, who was the founder of the Weather Channel, and the climate change, the global warming, it's a whole nother conversation, and I just feel like.
What do you mean it's a whole nother conversation? We're talking about the fire and cause and effect. Let me ask you a question. David?
Because fires have been happening in California for 100 years.
Okay.
And you can look at a map that the LA Times did in 2018.
Yes.
And it shows you
I saw that.
Every fire for the past 100 years. I mean, this is not anything new.
Okay.
However, the government doesn't seem to be caught up with the reality of what's going on.
Okay. I think you bring up some fair points, David, but I want to ask you what I think is an important question. And it's not about whataboutism. It is about, are we going to treat both sides the same? I don't know who you voted for. I don't know what political party you're in. Don't care. I'm going to ask you this question. We are one of the richest countries in the world, and per capita, we lost more people from COVID than almost any other country in the world. Donald Trump said 10 cases down to 0. It's going to be gone by Easter. Would you have any of the same criticism you appear to have for Gavin Newsom and the mayor of LA as to Donald Trump when he was in office during COVID?
I think the whole COVID situation, I'd really love to get to the bottom of how that started.
Okay, but
before
hold
I
on.
pass Judgment on.
Hold on.
Mhm.
Hold on. So 5 years later, you're not willing to give, actually more than that, you're not willing to put much of any criticism on Donald Trump, and you say, boy, I'd like to get to the bottom of it. I wish they would continue to investigate. It sounds like that's what you're saying. But yet we're still in the middle of these fires in California, and you're criticizing Gavin Newsom and the mayor of LA. Do you see
Because
the
we
double
need to know
standard?
are these the people that we need to lead us?
Let's ask that
when we
about,
know-
did you think Donald Trump is the leader that we need, sir, when per capita we were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day from COVID when Donald Trump left office? He said 10 cases down to zero.
Well, it's,
Hold on a
doesn't matter
second.
what-
No, it does matter because it's a double standard with people like you, and it frustrates me. So I'm going to ask you
Wait a
this.
second, 77 million people? There's something else deeper going on here.
What do you mean 77 million people? We lost a couple million people to COVID. Why is it that people like you make it a double standard? When it comes to the fires that are still going on in California, you want accountability now. But 5 years after COVID, 5 years after Donald Trump took office, well, we need to look into more things. Why won't you admit that Donald Trump did a terrible job? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Donald Trump did a terrible job with COVID. He turned COVID press conferences into campaign rallies. He talked about injecting yourself with disinfectant. And then he takes his little orange fingers and he walks with his orange feet and gets a COVID vaccine privately with Melania Trump. Why won't you give any criticism to millions of people that died of COVID and the handling of COVID under Donald Trump? But then in the middle of this whole thing, why won't you do that?
It's simple. The reason is because I just told you about how the LA Times put out this.
I'm not
map of fires
asking you
for the
about
past
that. I'm
100
not
years.
asking
Let
you.
me finish.
No,
let me finish.
but you're not. No.
COVID-19 was not predictable.
Oh.
COVID-19 came out of nowhere.
Okay, so let's just say you're right. COVID was not, it came out of nowhere. Okay, I'm not asking you about that. And by the way, your excuse is pathetic. Here's why. Barack Obama left Donald Trump a pandemic, how to deal with a pandemic. He left him a playbook. So don't you give me the excuse that, well, it came out of nowhere. Donald Trump has admitted that Barack Obama and his administration left him a playbook on how to deal with a pandemic. So your excuses are false. The reason why I'm getting frustrated with you, sir, and you can tell by my voice, is because it's always a double standard with you people. The fires are still going on. They haven't even really started the investigation yet, let alone finished it. Yet 5 or 6 years, 5 years after Donald Trump left office and we were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day from COVID, all you people do is make excuses for him. Why can't you just say his handling of COVID was terrible? Why can't you just say that, sir, as we pod you back up? Can you please?
The right leaders to move it. Are you asking yourself that question?
I just asked you a question. Why don't you answer it for the first time?
I just told you. I feel like it's a very different. It's apples to oranges. You're
okay.
talking about fires that are happening in California for 100 years we know of, at the very least.
We've had pandemics before.
Spanish flu was 1917. Once every 100 years, maybe.
So
Maybe
do
there's
you
something
think
lighter.
Donald Trump did a good job in handling COVID? Yes or no?
I think it's a different situation.
Do you think Donald Trump? Do you think? I'm going to make you answer the question.
I don't know if he did a bad job.
You don't know. You don't know if he did a bad job. We're one of the richest countries in the world. Per capita, we had more deaths than almost any other country in the world. And you can't answer whether Donald Trump did a good job in handling with COVID. This is a double standard, sir, and you're playing politics. It's a double standard. Admit it.
The 2020 election was the most impaired election.
Who won the 2020 election?
It's a great question.
No, it's not a great question. Who won the 2020 election, Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
Impaired election of my lifetime.
Who won the
1960 was also impaired.
You don't know.
The 1960 election.
The question wasn't about who won the 1960 election or whatever the stupid question you're asking. The question was who won the 2000. Do you see what I have to deal with every day with these people?
No, because they can't answer a damn question.
No,
it's
they won't.
always. That's the thing, though. They always defend. The goalpost moves and moves and moves and moves and moves, and we defend and we defend and we defend.
My question is.
You won't answer.
No, they think about Elon's behavior.
You don't ask another question. You've lost that privilege because you haven't answered one of mine. I'm going to ask it again. Who won the 2020 election? Answer the question, and don't give me a stupid answer like I don't know. You know who won. Who won the 2020 election? Don't answer a question by asking it. Answer the damn question.
Is there allowed to be any context to the answer?
No.
Yes or no question.
No,
right.
It's the Earth.
Right. And that's
okay,
why you guys
ready?
are not
Here we go. Is the Earth round or flat?
This is not a debate.
Is the Earth round or flat, sir? Answer the question.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it's round.
You believe it's
Believe
round.
it.
Yeah, he believes it's round. Oh, my God. No, sir, it's not what you believe. The Earth is round, and Joe Biden won a free and fair election. How do we know that, sir? Because there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the election. Nothing was proven in court. That's how we know that. You're going to defend Donald Trump and wear the Donald Trump knee pads in every single situation, okay? You're obviously very political. You care more about outing Gavin Newsom, then clearly you care about the people that have lost their homes. You're not willing to put any accountability with anything Donald Trump does. Let me guess, you're also okay with Donald Trump pardoning January 6th insurrectionists that beat police officers. Are you okay with those pardons as well, sir?
It's funny because I look at what Biden did with the crime.
Oh, my
Didn't ask, hey,
God.
Mr. Whataboutism.
Come on.
Mr. Whataboutism, I didn't ask you about Joe Biden. I'm going to try to ask him another question, which he won't answer. He won't answer any of my questions.
Answer anything.
Are you okay with Donald Trump pardoning the leader of the Oath Keepers, the leader of the Proud Boys, those who were convicted of seditious conspiracy, and those who beat police officers? The question has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Are you okay with Donald Trump's pardons of these people? Yes or no?
I'm okay with everybody that's been pardoned in the last 3 months being put in a cage and having a Royal Rumble.
All right. Well, guess what? I think you should be put in a cage and somebody should have a Royal Rumble with you because you are embarrassing, David. You are embarrassing. You won't answer any direct questions. You won't say who won the 2020 election. When asked about how Donald Trump handled COVID, you don't want to put any responsibility on him, but you want to put all the responsibility on Gavin Newsom. I want Courtney to give the last word on your statements, David. Go ahead.
Man, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's like they can't. That's the thing. I have so many things to say and nothing to say all at the same time. They always move the goalposts, right? Like it's always a defend. And the thing that I think is so interesting is why defend somebody who doesn't want anything that's best for you? Doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your well-being, doesn't care about anything. Something I found interesting with the fires and the way that people voted is that the people who have voted for Trump were nowhere to be found with helping people and victims and supporting. They were at home. They were making a political statement, and it goes along with what they're saying.
It's incredible, isn't it, Courtney, that
Yeah.
I try to be reasonable with these people. And I say, okay, if you want to point fingers, let the investigation happen. But when it comes to COVID, 5 years later, after Trump left office, doesn't want to put any responsibility on Donald Trump and wants, oh, well, we need to learn some more things. But while these fires are happening, he wants to put all of it on Gavin Newsom. These people have a double standard that was proven.
Yes. And pandemics are predictable. We've known about them. We have playbooks and we saw
Obama
it
gave him a
happening.
playbook.
Yes, we
Yeah.
saw it happening in China. We had time to be like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put things in place. We could have started that playbook before it would have hit the U.S. in the way that it did.
I think I'm going to label that call because the calls are pretty popular when I put them on social media. You can think of another one, Courtney, let me know. MAGA double standard proven in real time.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
one.
that's
a
going
good one.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next on PTL. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Brian. My name's David. I'm a longtime listener,
Thank
first-time caller.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Courtney. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
The reason I called is we're talking some serious stuff here, but on a lighter note, Trump just said that Canadians are running to America because Americans have better health care.
Oh, my God.
I think that's hilarious.
Oh, my God. It's so
Just a little comedy to say after
It's
this,
so
just a little
ridiculous.
comedy.
It's so ridiculous. We have to laugh at it. We're going to have to deal with this orange orangutan every day for the next 4 years.
And about that last guy, the reason you see the ad hominem attacks, the false narrative, the false comparatives, the reason you said the right has no argument. They have nothing. They have nothing. Have they put forth a policy? One policy?
They have
Well,
concepts.
Of course, more tax cuts. You know, it's a big
Hey,
club,
Dave,
and you ain't in it.
To be
George Carlin.
fair, they have concepts of policies.
Well,
And they really do. They have
You know,
concepts.
We'll
it's
look
just-
forward to
it's
that, won't we?
comical. And on a serious note, Noam Chomsky said it best years ago, The Manufacturing of Consent, in his book with Everett Herman. You know, it's just, I'm amazed in this country at well, you heard it with your last caller. You know, I don't know about the 20. How many cases were tried?
Yes.
How many cases were tried?
Yeah, all of a
80
sudden,
cases?
they don't know. They can't answer. By the way, even when I asked him if the Earth is round or flat, he kind of didn't give me a direct answer. So how can he give me a direct answer?
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe.
Hey, sir,
believe
I
it.
hope you have a great weekend, my friend. Thank you for the call and for the laughs. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. Hey, Paul, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, buddy. So you and I and all of us Americans are currently on the Titanic, okay? The Titanic has hit the iceberg, and people like that last caller is more concerned while the Titanic is sinking about finding out how we hit the iceberg than saving the people on the boat. That's what that caller
He's
is
worried
more-
about his dinner reservation. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Right.
did the captain get his job in the first place?
Yeah, was it a DEI hire? Yeah.
Okay. All of us are crew members, right? The first people to get lifeboats are Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, the convicted felon, all of the rich people. You, me, your guest, 99% of Americans are all going to fight over 4 lifeboats. And
be on the
that's
door.
what Donald Trump
Such a good
Donald
analogy.
Trump is purposefully ramming into the iceberg, trying to dismantle democracy, so people like me, like you, like that idiot caller, fight over the last few remaining lifeboats while they're on a lifeboat with like 2 people. That's exactly what's happening right now in this country.
Yeah, and Donald Trump would need 2 lifeboats. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
I
you're right.
agree. Paul, that's a really good analogy, my friend. And unfortunately, we are on the Titanic right now. I hope we don't sink. And I hope they don't make a movie about this sinking ship. But, Paul, I agree with your analogy there. I think you're spot on, my friend. Good to hear from you, Paul. Have a good weekend, my friend. Let's go to everyone. Yvonne. Okay. Yvonne is next up. I was
Hi.
reading it wrong. Hi, Yvonne. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Yvonne from Canada. Courtney, I'm sorry to hear or see what's going on in California. I'm really happy to hear that your house is good.
Thank you.
Also, it's laughable that Trump thinks that we want your health care because that's crazy.
Nobody wants our
Courtney,
health
I think. No, of course not. Courtney, I think your California state should become a province of Canada rather than us being the 51st state. And I'd like to say something about the pardons. I saw something on the news just last night about one of the police officers and his mother were on, I think it was MSNBC, and they were talking about, since they heard about the pardons, he had suffered brain injury as well and was brutally beaten. He was a police officer at the January 6th. So he went to the police to find out if he could get restraining orders against the people who he actually testified against. And they told him because they were pardoned, they're no longer considered a restrainable person.
Wow.
That is unbelievable, but not surprising.
Isn't that disgusting?
Donald
and
Trump.
his mother was attacked, was swatted and had feces thrown at her home and a brick thrown at her house, and they can't get a restraining order put in place against any of those people who were just pardoned.
Well, you know what? It doesn't surprise me. I feel for these people, the victims' families, and it's just what they're going through. And this just kind of relives what took place on January 6th, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of these victims.
And the trauma and the fear of like what if they've already been pardoned, they
Yeah.
probably feel like they're, invincible.
Yeah, it's just it's horrible. I feel for these people, and I hope these violent criminals don't commit more crimes because if they do, Donald Trump's going to have blood. in
One's
his
already
hands.
been rearrested.
I heard about that. Yeah, I did hear about that. He'll probably pardon him again. 702-221-7283. Arlen is next up on PTL. Hey, Arlen, what's going on? We lose Arlen? Let's go to Keith. Keith is next up on PTL. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Courtney.
Hi.
I just found out that the NBC is reporting that Trump is in California. He's currently in California.
Okay, well, somebody that could be
That's
possible.
NBC reporting that.
So somebody reported that he was in North Carolina today. If that's possible.
Yeah, he went to North Carolina first. He went to Asheville.
Okay, well, that could be possible. I'm glad he's in California.
Doing a disaster tour.
I'm glad he's in California. If he is, I would ask what took him so long, because after the New Orleans terrorist attack, everybody wanted Joe Biden to be there that day. So I'm wondering where that same criticism is for Donald Trump. But just as important as him being there is doing something to help. So are you confident? Do you think he's going to help people out there, sir?
I don't think so. No. As a matter of fact, the reason why he went to North Carolina was this is like his disaster tour.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's touring disaster areas. And he's also talking about shutting down FEMA.
Right. I heard it. What a crazy thing, right, sir? I mean, I heard about that as
So,
well. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just sick crazy.
Well, we know that he is sick. We know that he is crazy, and he's also dangerous. California better get that aid that they need. If not, again, it's all on Donald Trump right now. Right now, Donald Trump needs to do anything and everything he can to help those people. And, sir, I'll be honest with you, I don't have any confidence.
Yes, he does.
I don't have any confidence, sir, that he's going to do that. But I appreciate you letting us know. We'll see how this trip to California goes. Let's go to Julie. Julie's next on PTL. Oh, we have Arlen next on PTL. Hello, Arlen.
I'm calling from the Navajo Nation.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hi. I was on here about a couple of months ago, back in October, and I did discuss with at the time I think you were out the day. We had another host of radio people. Okay. What was on my mind was that it's so crazy with only like 5 days away, or no, 4 days out of the administration. There's already a lot of things that changed here on the reservation, and it's already taken effect on us. Because here's something that I can point out is that just last week before the inauguration, our gas prices used to be below $3. I'd say about $2.89. Yeah, $2.89 a gallon. And now it's up to $3.15.
Oh, well, that's got to be all Joe Biden's fault, right? I mean, it's got to be all Joe Biden. It's got to be the Democrats and George Soros, right? They'll never put any responsibility on Donald Trump for anything. That's got to be Joe Biden.
Yeah, and this is the thing about it. It was like, after the inauguration, the prices changed. The gas prices changed. Right. And it came to my conclusion. I was just more like, is this really happening in a sort of way? Because usually here on the reservation, we only watch the news and everything, and it hardly ever affected us back in the last administration, but we were against Donald Trump's policies, and we really, the majority of us didn't dislike him for a certain Pocahontas joke as well.
Yeah, in talking about it, they still do that in regards to Elizabeth Warren. They call her Pocahontas. Well, sir, you're welcome to call back anytime. And thank you for sharing some of that with us. I wish that wasn't the case, my friend. Please call back because we're running out of time with the show. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I mean, it's not surprising to me.
Yeah. Also, we have like drilling and stuff in these areas too that I'm sure that we're gonna see an impact in. I mean, it's all horrendous because he doesn't care about people. Period.
I think we know that. The only person he cares about is himself.
Yeah.
But I am glad that you're doing what you enjoy doing. You're very successful. You have a wonderful family.
Thank you.
And I am glad that, let's be honest, people like Donald Trump and the MAGA right don't want to see independent, strong women. No. They just don't, based on policy. Right. They don't trust a woman to do what she wants to do with her own body. They don't want to empower minorities. They don't want to empower women or anybody in the LGBTQ community. And you just look at policy. Yeah. They want to abolish many of them, like the Mike Johnsons of the world. They want to abolish porn. We've talked about that. They think strip clubs are just the worst in the world. But hey, let's just pardon some people who attack police officers. That's totally fine.
Right.
Right.
It literally is what you said in the beginning. We want to control women. We don't like powerful women, and we witness that over and over and over again. Even when the TikTok ban happened, everybody was like, "Why don't you ban OnlyFans then?" And we saw that it's anything that empowers women in any way, makes them powerful, make money on their own, whatever it may be, they feel like it's a threat and they want to dismantle it.
You're right. And we're seeing it firsthand every day. Well, I appreciate you being here, Courtney. It's always fun. Thank you so much. You get to see what I have to deal with some of these MAGA buffoons every day.
I don't think I could handle it.
Yeah, well, some days I can't handle it either, but I do my best. I want to give you the opportunity to let people know how they can follow you, your website, all that stuff. Can you give out that information, how people can follow you, and maybe help with the fires too?
Yeah. I'm Courtney Tillia online. My last name is Tillia. You can find everything at CourtneyTillia.com. And the GoFundMe, I post on there as well. And I will also post about donations for crates, for pets, or anything that we may need. It comes in sporadically. Like I saw there was like electronics that were needed yesterday. And there's schools that are rebuilding. So like school supplies and stuff like that is also needed. So I post throughout it. So if you follow me, you will see those updates.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing and helping
you.
animals. I think it's great what you're doing. It's great to see you.
Thank you. You too.
And you know, we had Nicole in yesterday. I think you guys are awesome. You guys really are great. And to get a perspective from somebody like I didn't even know you lived 7 miles away from the Palisades. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm glad your home is okay. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yes.
Thank you all for watching. Please check out Jackson's Bar and Grill, the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show, where you can win up to $500 in free slot play during a Vegas Golden Knights home game. Great food, great atmosphere. The official gaming bar of PTL is Jackson's Bar and Grill. And check out the website, pushingthelimits.live. Guess who we have on the show Monday? I mean, you know, I wish Courtney and Nicole would come back. George Santos is going to be joining us on the show Monday, right to start the show. So we're going to get right into it on Monday. You're not going to want to miss that. Check out the website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can buy merchandise and you can donate. I appreciate all you guys being here. It's been a fun week of shows, and we will see you on Monday with George Santos. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well,